Hello and welcome back to Fireside Improv. This is chapter 34 of this Karl Franz saga. The Empire just won a great victory over the demons at the Brass Keep, and they are looking to push on ahead to finish them off here and then go ahead and push back towards Kislev, where Tsarina Katerin is in desperate need of help. Kislev does hope to reclaim their homeland one day, but it will not be done without the help of the Empire. The Emperor is also in the cold north wasteland of Norsca. He is looking to continue to raise the demonic and Norscan settlements. There are too many forces there at the moment for him to do all that much. So he is waiting for reinforcements from the mainland in order to push back. Unfortunately, at the Brass Keep, somehow the demons did replenish their forces quite quickly, and Ralph's and Valmir's army are a little too wounded to actually push forward, so they are going to have to retreat and lick their wounds before being able to push on ahead once again. Rupert is making it to the front, however, to hold her against another demonic force that is coming for the Empire. It will be able to be held off. In Dieterschaffen, Balthasar Geld is going to be able to push back that force and wait for a few more soldiers to join before pushing right across the sea to join the Emperor.
Now,
he is going to recruit a warrior priest, a captain,
your orders?
and another warrior priest into his army to help with the front lines.
Let us begin.
So very soon he will be ready to go ahead and go across. In the meantime, Eldred is also going to start sailing back around to hit Packgeist Bay and take that after a successful foray to the Troll Fjord, to the Serpent Jetty, and raising them to the ground. Every little bit helps to weaken that power base. Cormac Dowleybreaker has entered into the sea between Norsca and the Empire. That is going to be the target
I see no other option.
of Karl Franz
Yes, to unite the provinces.
and Balthasar Gelt, who will sail out to join him.
No peace, just war.
Cormac will retreat, but not far enough that he will be able to avoid the battle, and together the two legendary lords are able to easily wipe out Cormac's forces, opening the possibility of taking back the altar of the Crimson Harvest.
I command here. Ready. I go where the winds howl.
So, let us move. What orders? I live to serve the Emperor.
Praise Sigmar.
Champion of the Faith.
Servant of the Faith.
Balthazar Gelt does get ambushed by the demonic forces up in Norsca.
For Heldenhammer! By Ulrich's wrath! Handgunners! Ready for war! We serve the Emperor!
Go! Take position!
By Ulrich's wrath! For Heldenhammer! Command artillery! Lowy calls!
Balthazar Gelt tries his best with his magics from the air to push back the Chaos forces before they can rout his own soldiers.
Ready to serve! Rolling ring! We are Sigmar's heirs! Great swords! Ready to smite! Keep clear! Enemy Away the windline!
Unfortunately, it does wind up being simply too much for the Grand Wizard to handle, and the Empire forces are defeated. Only time will tell if they did enough for the Emperor to capitalize on it. With Balthazar Gelt in full retreat, going to the Longship Graveyard to replenish his forces,
Waste my
the
potential.
Emperor decides, with the distraction that was given, he is just going to go ahead and push forward to the altar of the Crimson Harvest and take it back, since it is poorly defended.
You take leave of your senses. Summon the electric
The demonic
house.
army will have to decide which
not
direction to
for you.
go. He won't be able to make it all the way to the Longship Graveyard to take down Gelt, giving some time for him to recover his forces. Alternatively, he can go after the Emperor and probably be defeated against him. So that army is kind of useless now. Which is also a pleasant distraction for Eldred to continue to come around and hit the undefended Pack Ice Bay. Once these armies are all assembled again, it will open the door to further incursions deeper into Norsca.
It is time. I serve the Raven God.
Of Archaon has come a little bit too close to Rupert's army, and Rupert decides to go ahead and meet him
is with us.
on the field of battle to try to destroy him before it ever reaches deeper towards the Empire territory. The Empire sits up on their lovely hill, doing what they can to whittle down the enemy forces. The Empire is using a checkerboard-like formation to try to help their handgunners be as effective as possible while being as safe as possible behind their infantry. On the far flanks, the Reichsguard do deal with the hounds that were brought to the fields, who are absolutely no match for them at all, which frees them up to flank over and support the main army. The line is holding pretty well and forcing the enemy back, but you never know what is going on with the beasts.
Sigma, preserve us! Keep your heads down, men!
Sigma guides us.
For Heldenhammer! Take the ground!
Armies and march!
Prepare for combat!
Missiles at the ready!
By Ulrich's wrath, it shall be.
For the Warhammer!
Go!
I foresee!
Enrage! No lingering!
Reichsguard! For France!
The Empire.
Pray for glory!
Reichsguard! Get there! Sigma, preserve us!
It is against Sigma!
The enemy lord does flee the fields and is hunted down by the Empire Knights,
No lingering!
leaving only one great hero of the enemy remaining. That the handgunners are desperately trying to take down, as he is just one big bad boy who just does not want to go down.
Ulrich judges us! Show him we are worthy!
And after a lot of running around and a lot of pew pew pew, he finally does fall, and victory is achieved. Rupert was hoping to be able to push on ahead to Wolfenburg, but there were too many of his soldiers that died, so he is forced to pull on back.
I serve the Heldenhammer.
He'll have to recoup some of his strength before taking that last step. It's unfortunate, as Archaon was distracted over in Kislev for just a moment. It would have been good to be able to draw him back and forth, to be able to help Kislev. Serena Katerin is pushing a little bit further to the north, So it's unclear if she's actually going to be able to survive much longer. The demons do in fact decide to move forward to challenge the Emperor. They can't quite bring all their soldiers together, but they are preventing new soldiers from joining up. Rupert's army does get caught by the Ecstatic Legion, Garrulus. After its previous battle, does not have the strength to be able to hold them off, but they do take a lot down with them. It does open up the Brass Keep just a little to potentially assault it. The death of Rupert, who held the southern border of the Empire for so long, hits the Emperor hard, and he does not want his death to be in vain. So he orders Ralph and Volmir to push forward towards the Brass Keep immediately in order to make sure that the weakness of the Brass Keep can be exploited. At least some good will come of the brave death of the general of the Empire.
By the comet.
Up in the north, the Emperor has been surrounded by Chaos forces. Balthazar Gelt will not be able to arrive in time. The Chaos forces are clearly waiting for further reinforcements to arrive, but the Emperor is not going to wait. He's going to go ahead and push out. He's going to strike quickly so that there is no time for reinforcements to arrive for the battle, and slaughter the small paltry force that did have his settlements sieged.
As is my right by Sigmar's crown.
And then he is going to turn his attention back towards the other demonic army separately and annihilate them as well. With both of those forces now defeated, the path up is clear. He will soon be able to push forward towards the Greyling Moot, and depending how that battle goes, potentially the Doomkeep as well. We'll have to decide which to strike first. The Doomkeep is, of course, the
Summon the
more
Elector Count.
desirable target.
What does the Emperor bid? Sigmar
Pack Ice Bay
compels us.
will also be reclaimed by Eldred soon enough so that the outposts along the southern part of Norsca will be fully in the hands of the Empire once again, as a safe place to strike out further into Norsca. With the death of Rupert, it does open up a new army potential to be raised. And since an army is coming down to threaten Dieterschaffen again, the Emperor is going to ask Theodric, who had lost his favor previously, to go ahead and raise a new army in defense of Dieterschaffen, and then once that army is dealt with, to potentially move towards Norden. The Emperor is also going to ask for some more upgrades across the Empire.
What?
Dieterschaffen is put under siege, under attack, unfortunately. Theodric doesn't have the forces to hold them back. And they do lose. And the settlement is again sacked. And then claimed. Well, with Dieterschaffen falling again, a new army again has to be raised a little ways away in Salzenmund. Gustav Klaus is going to be the one selected to lead this army. He's also going to turn to Britannia to help to build up his army quickly. Balthasar Gelt is almost ready to push out again, as is the Emperor. A little bit more time will be desired. The Emperor is actually considering coming back to Dieterschaffen, but that would mean abandoning his position and potentially giving up the altar of the Crimson Harvest that he just tried so hard to take back. But he really, really hates having Empire territory lost. He hates the Norskins for sailing across again. He knows that he is not like the Norskins. He does not allow his people to suffer or have it go unavenged. So while his homeland is being ravished, he is going to sail back to bring peace to it. And if he can come back for the altar of the Crimson Harvest. But it can always be retaken. It's not so important to hold as Dieterschaffen in the Empire is. Far more important to have Empire territory in Empire hands.
So, it is for the best. Pick up the pace.
Azazel has also largely abandoned the Brass Keep to its fate, pulling back towards Wolfenburg out of Empire territory entirely.
Your word is my command.
Ralph Koch is able to march the rest of the way to the Brass Keep and start creating some siege towers.
Now, on march. Yes, a sound plan.
Volnir marches up behind to reinforce. And together, they are going to be able to take the Brass Keep pretty soon. Chaos Force does march down the pass towards the altar as expected. The Emperor is going to try to sail back as quickly as he can to offer some protection there. He does make it back in time without problems.
Summon the Elector Counts.
To strengthen the Empire.
Eldred finally makes it back to Pack Ice Bay, where he is able to easily dispatch the tiny garrison that is there.
I will marshal the men.
Allowing those coastal settlements to again be nicely set up as outposts against the demonic forces. The raised settlements are still raised. So the path ahead to continue to raise more is clear.
Are you?
Balthazar Gelt is just going to hold his position just a little bit to hold off any Norskins that come. But Bretonia has landed in Norsca as well to provide some support. Balthazar is going to move up just a little bit to the nearby bridge and holds there so that if the opportunity arises to push on ahead, he will be able to take that opportunity. Gustav also continues to recruit up his army so that it can also push forward as soon as it is ready into Norden. It's not going to be the best army that the Empire has. This one is based around being ready as quickly as possible.
How should we proceed?
I live to serve the Emperor.
Yes, Graf.
The Emperor isn't expecting a whole lot out of that particular army, but if it can at least push a little bit, it will do its job.
The Empire!
And now the time comes. Ralph Koch is ready to launch his assault on the Brass Keep with the help of Volmir. Ralph Koch kept his Hellstorm rocket battery towards where his reinforcing ally would come from, but the demonic forces were smart enough to send out their flyers to intercept it before the reinforcements could arrive, potentially losing it. With some of the Hellstorm rocket batteries immediately taken down by the Chaos forces, they are in a slightly better position than they would have been otherwise, but they still have a force that is not quite a match for the attackers. So the Empire is still confident that they will be able to take down the Brass Keep. Volmir's forces are the first ones to make the assault. Ralph is holding back his forces, waiting to see if the Chaos forces will redeploy, allowing his side of the wall segment to be a little less defended, as currently it does have the majority of the forces. With some initial success by Volmir's forces, Ralph orders his own soldiers to start their assaults. Some of the demonics forces have redeployed over on the other side, so it is time to take advantage of that.
They will die!
On Volmar's side, they do start to come down off the wall and push into the settlement. Volmir himself was somewhat wounded. He's still in the fight, but has took to the air to command it from afar.
Take the wall! Awaiting orders! Hand gunners! Ready! Formation! March! March!
Throw in!
Brace yourself!
Ralph has had some moderate success taking some of the walls. They still need to take the gates in order to allow their cavalry inside, but so far it is looking okay.
We are Sigma's heirs. Moving now. Blood. Cavalry ready. Hand gunners. Take the ground. The Emperor. Chaos gather. Kill the heretics.
Ralph does take the walls that allows his cavalry to stream into the city. This is likely the blow that will put the battle in the favor of the Empire and ultimately lead them to victory.
Preserve us! The Empire endures! Taking position! By Ulrich's wrath! Demigriff Knights!
Ultimately, the Empire does in fact win with their cavalry streaming in, hitting the backs of the Chaos forces. They aren't able to hold any further, and victory is achieved. The Brass Keep belongs to the Empire, once again opening up the path to hit Kislev without the risk of being hit in their own rear. And in Norsca, the same path is open to hopefully be able to flank right on around, shatter the power base of the demons and Norskins in Norsca, and loop back around back into Kislev. And the Emperor has not forgotten that there are still plenty of darn dwarves in his empire that need to be dealt with as well. They are far too rooted for his liking, and it will come to blows as soon as the northern borders of the empire are secure.